Hello, we are live. We are live. I think we are live. Checking to see. Oh, yep, there's viewers. There's viewers, and we should also be live on the national, I'm so used to saying California Mises Caucus, the national Mises Caucus channel as well on YouTube and on X. The artist formerly known as Twitter. My big announcement is I got a haircut. Just kidding. I did get a haircut though. While we're waiting on more people to tune in, let me talk about that. Even though it's really boring and uninteresting, I had my haircut like this, like basically my whole life. And when I decided to run for Congress, 2017, I thought I should grow my bangs out because I looked like I was about 12 years old, and nobody would take me seriously. And recently, I realized, there's been a lot of years that have gone by, and I think I'd like to go back to looking a little bit younger. So I went back to my normal haircut, the one that I had for 30 plus years of my life. So there's that. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into some of the more serious announcements. I have a lot of stuff to talk about. Bitcoin, Maha, Mises Caucus, Libertarian Party, some of the drama, although I'm not going to get into detail as much of it as the gadflies, the midwits would like. Roger Ver, pardons, presidential draft 2028, coalition strategy, all kinds of really good things. So let me start by saying, I recently attended the Bitcoin conference, which was amazing. I met a lot of amazing libertarians and anarcho-capitalists there, a lot of people who are liberty-minded. It's like, I'll never forget, Judd Weiss said this on, I think, on the Tom Woods show many years ago when he ran for the vice presidential slot with, what's his name? Antivirus guy. Yeah. He said the Libertarian Party is like the dog kennel of the liberty movement, and that we get all the mean, bad dogs that bite, they bite the other dogs and they bite people, and we put them in the LP dog kennel so that they don't go out and bite all of the good dogs. And every time I attend a liberty event outside of the LP, it just really resonates with me. I think Judd said that back in like 2016. And so it's painfully true. People at Bitcoin were classy, they were focused, they were working really hard on achieving liberty in their lifetimes. They put their money where their mouth is. They have money. They're responsible, for the most part. Some of them take risks, but it was a really great event. And we are definitely going to be doing some recruiting there. I got to meet Ross Ulbricht, which was really surreal. That was really nuts to, get correspondence from someone in prison and then meet them face to face. Yeah, it was amazing. The work that we did in the dog kennel, it does matter. We helped get someone free from prison. There's been a lot of talk about who gets credit for what. There have been people have pressured me like, well, why don't you share the screenshots of your messages with the administration? Well, because that would be really tacky and burn my bridges with them. That's not a good thing to do. I understand though that autism and lack of social skills makes it difficult for people to understand that. And so, bless your heart. But yeah, we put in the work and it absolutely mattered. And a lot of other people put in work too. I mean, Lynn Ulbricht, if she hadn't been pounding the pavement and attending conventions and conferences all over the country for a decade, nobody would have cared. She did like 10 years worth of work, and I just sort of chucked the baton across the finish line. So, the work that she did there was amazing, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. David Bailey of the Bitcoin conference also did a lot of really important advocacy work. Roger Stone did as well. I think President Trump probably went to Roger Stone and asked him, what do you think about this Ross guy? And Roger really helped to push it across. They are all class acts. And then everybody who showed up and voted, everybody who showed up and voted. People on the LNC who hate me, they, trash me now, they go after me. The fact that they actually did try to stage a coup against me before the convention, but the fact that they were able to rein it back in, and help not derail, the Libertarian Party messaging up until the inauguration day, that's really important. Everybody who voted, everybody who kept on message, everybody who was involved, you played a part, talking to your friends, convincing them, hey, vote for Trump. It's just a single issue thing. We're just voting on this. If his administration doesn't keep any other promise, if they screw it up, as long as he releases Ross Ulbricht, he deserves our vote. He did it. Promises made, promises kept. And so I'm just really happy to have been a part of it and to have really seen it come to fruition. It was wild watching Ross walk out on stage and getting to shake his hand. So I am doing some advocacy, as many of you know, for Roger Ver and also for Ian Freeman. They're both libertarians. Roger ran as a libertarian candidate in California for, I believe, a state assembly race in 2000 or 2001. He is one of ours, and I'm going to be there for him, and I'm advocating for him. And I hope that you all will advocate for him too. He's got a petition. Please go and sign it. Please show him some support, regardless of your feelings on Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, big blocker, small blocker. The man doesn't deserve to be in prison. It's wrong what happened, and we need to wrap our arms around him and show some support. Same with Ian Freeman. Ian does not deserve to be in prison. Ian and I have had disagreements on Twitter before. He's had a lot of Twitter disagreements. I would ask you to put that aside and treat him like a human being and show up for him and for libertarians and for free staters and say, this man doesn't deserve to be in prison. He deserves to be free. He should be at home with his family, with his wife. No more putting people in prison. And please do not equate disagreements you've had with people on social media. Please don't think of that as an excuse to see someone punished cruelly by the state. I've spoken with some other members of the Crypto Six about what it's like to be in prison. It's pretty awful. So yeah, so there's that. I was able to do some advocating for them at Bitcoin, and I think it went really well. And I just feel really optimistic, and I'm really grateful to people who walked me around and helped me make additional connections. And I'm grateful to everybody who took the time to listen to me and share your thoughts, including if you were, not fully on board with what I was saying. I think I convinced a lot of people. So that's exciting. Let's see. I've also been doing a lot of chatting with the Maha crowd. Maha crowd, you are awesome. And the work that you've been doing is phenomenal. And I know that some of you are very frustrated with how slowly things are moving the administration. And I want to say that I publicly stand by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's got a very difficult job. It's difficult to navigate all of it's like there's the administrative state, and then there's the handshake, you have to do this or else I won't let this happen and that happen, in the influence game. And he's got to navigate both. And it's his first time doing it. And I think he's working really damn hard. And we should all give him credit. And I know that we're all frustrated that the COVID shot schedule hasn't changed as quickly as we want it to. And believe me, I feel your pain, but we need to rally and show support and not tear him down. And that's my opinion. And maybe you have a different opinion and we'll have to disagree. If you want to see change, we need to support this man. And if you want to throw some bombs, don't throw them at him. Throw them at the people who are holding him up. And on that note, there are some senators that we need to be going after in the midterms. I think we're going to hold a draft. I think we're going to hold a draft of the senators that we're going after. Who should we go after? We do not have the resources in the Libertarian Party, in the Mises Caucus, in Maha, in Bitcoin. Well, maybe in Bitcoin, but I think they're hodling, until their deathbed. But we don't have the resources to go after every single senator. We have to just go pick like 1 to 3 at most. So we need to be thinking very strategically about that. Who is making it hard for RFK Jr.? Who is making it hard for Donald Trump? Who's not codifying Doge? Who's fighting? I don't mean who voted on the big, beautiful bill, because I know as libertarians, it's not a big, beautiful bill to libertarians. I get it. I get it. My job, by the way, is to eat shit and move things forward. And so on all the things that libertarians disagree with the Trump administration on, I just get to eat the shit. And you should be grateful that I do, because that's why I will maintain a good relationship with the administration. Because if there are things I disagree with them on, I can live with it, because I'm here to advance liberty where we can. That's what I want to do. And some of the people who are really holding things up, who really hate libertarianism, like they're just like, let's burn all the children in Gaza. Let's jam you full of COVID shots. Like all of that terrible stuff, we should go after them. So let's pick our top few worst ones and let's go after them. So we'll be doing a draft. So how are we going to do that draft? Well, that's a very exciting thing to discuss. Let me walk back in history a little bit so that you can sort of understand how I got to this position. I resigned from my position as chair in like late January under the assumption that I was jumping immediately to another job, which I'm still going to. But some of you may have caught on that the hiring process is taking a little bit longer than anticipated. God bless them. And we hope that it speeds up. But I realize at the same time, it has given me an opportunity to do a lot more work outside of that apparatus, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. And so while I am waiting for this job to start, and there are a lot of people in my position waiting on jobs to start, please don't lose faith. It doesn't mean the jobs aren't happening. It just means hiring is very slow. So while I am waiting on that job to start, I have decided to step into the role as the chair of the National Libertarian Party Mises Caucus. So I am your new chair. Congratulations. I will be working from technically outside of the party apparatus to advance liberty, to organize issue coalitions, to advance libertarianism by any means necessary, any peaceful means. And so to that extent, I extend a formal invitation to the Maha crowd and to the Bitcoiners to work with the Mises Caucus. And you can have your own caucus. You can join us. We'll break out the mechanics of that. We'll get into it. And I'm going to talk about it with some important Maha people soon too, in another live stream and at Freedom Fest. The party's ballot access infrastructure is a valuable tool. It is a valuable tool. We have an incredibly powerful voting bloc. The Libertarian Party does. So does Maha. So does Bitcoin. I want you to think about this. What can you do within the structure of ballot access to impact the midterms and to advance your agenda? And where do our agendas align? Codifying Doge. Bitcoin strategic reserve? Maybe. Getting rid of COVID shots for children. I bet we all agree on that, right? There are some really powerful things that we can do if we wield the tool of ballot access. Now, beyond that, what about 2028? Presidential race. I have brought this up a few times. I'm going to bring it up one more time. I want you to fully understand what I'm offering, because I think there are some people in the party, maybe including some people in the Mises Caucus, who are the pejorative, as we use the term, party justice warrior. You are, for better or worse, rabid ideologues. You instead of going to church Sunday morning and opening the Bible, you open the platform, you open the bylaws. You care a lot about what's happening in the Middle East. You don't want the United States funding Israel's war, genocidal maybe, war in Gaza. You don't like it. I want you to think about this, and I'm not throwing stones, because I think people didn't realize the opportunity existed. They didn't realize it existed, so we're not passing judgment, but we are going to take this painful learning lesson to heart. Dave Smith talks a lot. He's very passionate about foreign policy. He cares a lot. He's sincere. He knows his stuff. He's authentic. Like, he's the guy, right? Like, he and Scott Horton. Scott is like the big brain, and Dave is the mouth. Well, what if one of them had been our presidential candidate? And what if one of them had done what Kennedy had done, and he had dropped out in exchange for maybe some foreign policy concessions? Because do you think Dave Smith would pull just 1% of the race? I don't think so. I think he'd pull a lot more than 1%. And I think that he would have, if he had run, he would have made Trump lose. I don't want that, but that's political leverage. So I invite you, members of MAHA, members of the Bitcoin community, Mises Caucus members, libertarians who are generally aligned with, most of those things. I invite you to start thinking right now who you want to run for president, because we in the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus are going to launch a presidential draft. Think about how much money, millions and millions of dollars, you pump into a presidential campaign, a Republican or a Democrat, the likely winner. You pump millions of dollars into their campaigns, hoping and pleading that your asks will stick. That's how it works. You donate millions and millions of dollars, and you hope that the politician you donated to does the things he promises to you. Or you could spend a lot less. You could spend a lot less, and you could get on the ballot, and you could have the power to drop or not if they don't want to play ball with you. I don't need a bunch of local activists who are underfunded. We don't need you to run. It doesn't mean your contributions aren't valuable. They are. Your contributions are totally valuable. But what I need people who can self-fund. I need people who already have a big platform. I need people who are charismatic and outspoken. I need you to step up and be willing to run for president and consider dropping out and endorsing in exchange for something like a cabinet position, spot on the transition team. It might be temporary, right? Some bit of influence. That's what we need to be doing. That's the strategy I'm adopting. And let's go forward and do it. Imagine how powerful it would be to have a sound money and Austrian econ, Bitcoin billionaire running for president with a hardcore MAHA, like anti-COVID propaganda scientist running for VP. It would be an incredibly powerful ticket. And I think we could get a lot done. So think about that. And, heaven forbid that we don't see like a more libertarian, like evolved JD Vance run. We see like a Mitt Romney run. I don't think we're dropping out of that race. So you have the power to fix the country. Don't ever underestimate it. So there you go. We need IQ minimums for the LNC. Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know if that's actually Jeremy or if it's someone parodying him, but that's fine. I see some towering. Oh, it's not actually Jeremy. That makes me sad. All right, we'll put you in their timeout. Goodbye. Yeah, Will Hobson says it would have saved lives. Yeah, it would have saved lives. I think that so many people, just like they don't really think about it. Someone says, I joined the LPMC to advance pragmatism. Go, Angela. I think that a lot of people like that joined the party to advance like creepy, like kind of pedo stuff. And so, like we don't want that. We don't want that kind of behavior. Bye-bye. I think a lot of people like they conflate anti-government with like anti-authority, including like anti-natural hierarchy and anti-sanity, and it's just icky. So yeah, no furries. This is a furry-free zone. It's very icky. All right, more announcements. There was some drama with me and the LNC as all this was going down. I was extremely sick, which I don't talk about publicly because I don't think it's a good signaling mechanism. So I just didn't get into it. I was spending a lot of time in bed recovering from a really bad Crohn's flare. But there are a couple of people on the LNC who on social media have accused me of embezzlement, which is defamatory, and I could sue them over it. But, you know, like filing a lawsuit is really exhausting and pretty soul crushing. And I still do a little bit of litigation on the side. I really enjoy it, but not for me. You know, it's like you get to drag all your personal matters out in discovery. It costs money, it costs time. It's just generally unpleasant. I think that what we should do is we should have a good working relationship together. You know, we should not write libelous reports about each other. We shouldn't sue each other. You know, that goes for me too. It's like, trust me, I've thought about it. I think and by the way, like I have a really good relationship with like at least half of the LNC. You know, I'm not mad at Andrew Watkins, Andrew Chatterton, Austin, or Region 1 is like solid, you know. Travis, I have still a good relationship with staff. Like it's not like I'm at war with the LNC. There's just a handful of people who have been, you know, like nasty and kind of abusive towards me. And it's like, whatever, you know, I'm a grown-ass woman. I can handle myself. But I did not publicly go to war with them when I was really ill. It's just that's not what's going to help me recover. And I was like right on the edge of having to go to the hospital and just kind of squeaked out. So I will say that chairing the national party is really stressful, having people sue you. And you're kind of wondering, you know, like I was wondering the whole time, like the Trump administration was just a class act. They were so great, but it's still in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, am I going to get like the BLM treatment that like how Biden treated BLM? Am I going to get that? Like, you know, it's like door slam goes to me like, what, you know, so it's kind of stressful, you know, because it's like, I was like gambling with someone's life. Not to be crass, but that's really what it felt like. And shit got very real, you know, towards the end. It's like I heard from Ross and, you know, like friends with his mother. And I'm just like, this has got to like, so many people are depending on me to pull this off. So it's like, you just keep your mouth shut when people are attacking you behind the scenes, trashing you as Ross is walking out of prison. You know, it's just like, you just have to eat the shit if you want to be in charge. There's no way around it. Like, that's what you have to do. And I'm very good at that. And I'm still willing to eat the shit, you know, and I'm not going to name any names, but I think that the people in the LNC who hate my guts should bury the hatchet and we should have a professional working relationship. I have not asked anyone to pull their donations, and I won't. I haven't told people to stop donating. I have not been making calls to the big donors like I had anticipated I would do. But, you know, I still support the party. I still pay. I have a small monthly donation to the party still ongoing. I think it's an incredibly effective tool. I just think it's been in the wrong hands for many years. And I hope that you guys see, like, I delivered results. And that was with an absolute, like, garbage year. You know, that's like Chase Oliver. God bless him. He did the best job. Like, it couldn't have gone any better with him, you know. You know, like sabotage, you know, disgruntled board members, you know, psycho, like pink hair lady, like, we still got something. So imagine how amazing it would be if we had a deck of people who didn't care. They don't read hater blogs. They don't care about drama. We either get rid of the JC entirely, or like we have people on the JC who just don't mess with things, right? Like they just don't take up all of these ridiculous JC appeals. Like, why do we have so many JC appeals? Oh, because people that aren't engaged in real world activism. It's just like how we have all these policy manual amendments. Policy manual, bylaws, policy manual. No, like, get people free out of prison. Change the COVID shot schedule. Codify Doge. Defend the guard. Those are the things you need to be calling on. Passing Leslie's medical freedom bill in Idaho. Things like that. No one gives a shit. Your policy manual doesn't change anybody's life, you know? And I say this from a place of being somebody who used to behave this way. Like when I joined the party, and a lot of this is like, it's like nature versus nurture, you know? When I joined the party, I joined a social club and I was critical of it, but at the same time, I engaged in a lot of the same behavior. I wanted to have the best libertarian meetups. I did. I had amazing meetups in LA. I wanted to have like the coolest events, and I am an event planner. I'm still going to have amazing events. Stick around for part 2 announcement on Thursday. I engaged in a lot of the Ulbricht behavior. You know, I was hardcore purity testing people, telling them they're stupid, retarded statists. You know, it took experience and learning to understand that that's not how you advance liberty. Murray Rothbard went through the same thing, by the way. And this is in my book, which I am editing right now. He was so critical of Ed Crane's presidential run in 1980. He was so critical. He just tore him up for the whole New Camelot thing, for trying to emulate Kennedy. He was like, this is so unlibertarian. It's not radical. You guys are trash. He was long, scorching polemic about the campaign. And 10 years later, what's he doing? Working with Republicans. Late Rothbard, you know, that we're not supposed to talk about. He, like, you know, whenever I think about how I behaved then, like 2017 to 2019 in the party, I just am like, it's okay. Rothbard did it too. He was a member of the Radical Caucus, which is like, you know, kind of cringe now. Sorry. So yeah. Pietro. Jeez. Pietro Garacci is like a creepy dude who has posts like about being like drunk, and he's a teacher. He's like a gay teacher who his behavior is questionable. That's the kind of stuff we got to get out of the party. The people who behave in strange ways and they talk about how they're around kids, it's got to go. Oh, this guy's really sad. This guy's really mad about me too. I'm really sorry. The thing is, if you want to be a purity tester, like you can do that and you can be the purest, truest libertarian in the world, but you'll never affect change. You know, so people like me are going to go and we're going to advance the ball, because what were Biden and Harris doing with Israel? Nothing, jack shit. You know, I told people we're not going to get foreign policy this time, but we could, if you're willing to engage and put forward a really strong candidate. McAfee. Yes, McAfee. That's whose name I forgot to mention earlier. So yeah, let's, you know, people who are not, you know, creepy around children, you know, people who don't have to go into a hugging box every time they have a disagreement. People who aren't totally insane. We should work together. Martha Bueno and I, by the way, who used to hate each other, we work very well together. It can be done. If you care about advancing liberty, you can work with someone. You know, Twitter fights they're not real life. You can work with people, because I work with Martha in real life, and she's like ride or die now. So props to Martha Bueno, who also really was like a great friend to Lynn, and definitely I would give her credit for helping get Ross out of prison. What other really exciting things do I have to announce? I think people still wonder just generally, like, why would I use a third party? Why not just go the Republican route? I think I've talked about it a little bit, but I think I have some other things I would really like to share about it. I really feel, and this isn't going to matter to some of you, so whatever. I really felt going into the 2024 election, like it was a very miserable, unpleasant experience. Planning the convention was awesome. In spite of the drama and the little coup temper tantrum that happened right before it, planning the convention was wild, right? Like getting to work closely with the Trump campaign, like seeing how a professional campaign really runs. But mostly it was really stressful, you know, people hating me, you know, creepy, like kid diddler types, accusing me of things. I'm like, wow, like, that's the pot calling the kettle. Well, but I just felt like there was a reason I was supposed to be there, right? Like I felt like God was putting me there. And it's like, well, why? It's not about the libertarian party being so awesome. It's like God is going to use this tool to make something incredible happen. Okay. Like those of you who are Christians, and I would extend that to people who believe in God, LDS, whatever, you believe in God. I think you understand what I mean. God will use whoever or whatever he wants to advance his agenda. And you don't really get to like choose, like you have free will, you can reject it, but you don't get to tell God what to do. And he doesn't do opinion polls because he's God, he doesn't care if you're the distant third largest political party, full of autists and people with narcissistic personality disorder. He doesn't care if you're like a poor activist. He doesn't care if you're like a wealthy Bitcoiner. He can use whatever he wants. In fact, if you look into the Old Testament, he also used, like, to get things done, wind, locusts, and frogs. So God will use what he wants, including a whale, a literal whale, not just a Bitcoin whale. God can use a woman. That there's a lot of, I feel like it doesn't, like, it's almost like a meme to call something toxic. There is a lot of kind of toxic backlash against women in positions of leadership right now because the culture became so thoroughly fucked with feminism, and gender roles have been so grossly reversed. But it doesn't mean that every woman in leadership should be at home doing nothing, like it's just not everybody's destiny. God uses people in different ways. I think it was in the book of Judges. There's this woman, Jael. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. I don't know the Hebrew pronunciation. Jael. Anyway, I think this was right after the fall of Jericho. So this king is running because he's like, his whole army has been decimated. And he hides in a tent of these people who he was like distantly related to. And there's a woman there, and she's like, oh, come on in. I'll hide you. You'll be okay. And she feeds him milk, is very mothering of him. And she knows who he is. And he falls asleep. And she picks up a tent spike and jams that thing through his head and hammers it through and kills him. And I think that the prophetess Deborah, because there was one female judge who was also a prophetess, her name was Deborah, said that he would be delivered into the hands of a woman because the captain was like a little too scared to lead the charge on the battle against these guys. I can't even remember the name of them all of a sudden, but I'm mostly remembering this story. The job of women back then, like, feminists who are screaming about like a 23-cent wage gap that doesn't technically exist. Women back then, all they were able to do was like have babies and raise the tent and tear the tent down, because the men were off at war and they were doing their thing. So who actually did the hard labor around the tents? It was the women. And so like what a trip. All day long you to put up the tent, tear it down, like you're a woman and your job is to just hammer this peg into the ground. And then you have an opportunity to like completely change the course of history. And you take a tent spike that you would normally just be using in every day and you drive it into the head of a king. It's possible for God to use women to do some really crazy stuff. He can use anything. He can use a frog. He can use a locust. And I think that God used me to help get Ross Ulbricht out of prison. And I would invite you to entertain the idea that God could use you to do something incredibly profound. And it doesn't matter what your station is. It doesn't matter how experienced you are in politics. There's a ton that you can do. It doesn't matter what your background is. You can be a tent spiker too. And that's the energy that I'm taking into these midterms. If you are doing bad things in the Senate, if you're doing bad things in Congress, we're coming for your head with a proverbial tent spike. We are going to find areas of alignment with the Trump administration, with MAHA, with Bitcoin. We are going to do things like work to cut the federal budget, to codify Doge cuts, to get rid of swamp creatures, to get rid of people who want to protect disgusting secrets in the CIA, who are threatening, some of my friends over releasing things in the Epstein files. We're coming for you. So you better get right with God. And I'm very, very excited about all of this. If you want to get active and you're not sure how, go to lpmisescaucus.com. The Twitter is live streaming right now. Send them a DM. We want you active. We're in an off year. We're prepping for the midterms. You do not have to attend every LP local meeting. Don't do it. Do not waste your energy. Do not waste your time. Join the party, kind of hang out. Just kind of hang out. We'll give you instructions on what to do. We'll make the most of your time. That's a big lesson that I've learned is we do not want to send all of our volunteers in, all of our new members, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, to be part of the toxic ecosystem that is the LP establishment. Just join through the Mises Caucus, hang out, and when it's time for really exciting, fun stuff, then we're just going to unleash you. And then you'll enjoy what you do and you won't get so burned out. And to everyone else that we've burned out over the past several years, I am sorry. I understand, this is a learning experience for all of us, and we're learning with you, people in leadership. And I want to thank also the other members of the Mises Caucus board for voting me on, for having faith in me, for staying out of useless drama, and for understanding the mission. It's great. I just really love and appreciate all you guys who have stuck around for a long time. Adam Choate, OG Californian, very excited to see him at the Anthem Film Festival and Freedom Fest. Melissa Wong, another badass from the state of Montana. Melissa is amazing. Primarying Lindsay would be awesome. I agree. I think there might be a Republican primarying him, but we need to dig in on Lindsey Graham. Bill Cassidy, is he reseeking in Louisiana? I know he's been giving Kennedy a tough time. Oh, Susan Collins in Maine, Lisa Murkowski in Alaska. The challenge there is if we run them out, do we get someone even worse? We have to really dig in and analyze and understand the ecosystem. Approach the primarying with a little bit of humility in one hand and a tent spike in the other. Burnout is real. Absolutely it is. And California is so tough. You're the biggest state in the country. And it's just it's so challenging because it's one of the most aggressive status states. I think that California should be doing what Colorado does, because I got to say, Colorado, chef's kiss. They get it. We need to be doing basically what I'm prescribing is that we do at the federal level what Hannah Goodman has done at the state level in Colorado. We need a liberty pledge. We need to get these senators to agree to it. And then we need to get our guys, if they're running against it. And it has to be a conversation with the state affiliates, right? So I invite the state affiliates to reach out. Reach out right now. Let's start talking about it. That if your Senate candidate is going to drop out, what concessions do you want? We will have a concessions, a top issues and concessions draft going out shortly. We will have it up on the website. I want to hear from you. What issues do you think that senators need to pledge to at the federal level in exchange for not running someone against them? And if you are already running for Senate, what would you need to see in order to consider dropping out? What would you need to see? Ask a lot, and then we'll get into it, right? And we'll work on making it realistic, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So go ahead and ask. Don't think I'm saying like, oh, just shave 5% off the budget. No, dude, like make the ask. I think Doge is a really big one. Has anyone else realized that more pedophiles are being arrested now that Cash is head of the FBI? Yeah, absolutely. I think he's doing a fantastic job with that. I know everybody's really frustrated over the Epstein stuff. So am I, and he's a friend of mine. So I'm not gonna like knock him because it looks like they're going through a lot with all of that. But more pedophiles are being arrested now that Cash is head of the FBI. Maybe the Libertarian Party attendance will be different at the next convention. You never know, but you can hope. I'm glad that MC is more removed from much of the rest. They've lost Rothbard's drive to make change, and many others went left. Socialist. Yes, there are a lot of Democrats hovering around in the party. And to be fair, I mean, that's because most people came from one of the other two parties. But, Rothbard was correct. Like, egalitarianism is a revolt against nature. And the tendency to behave model UN style in the LP and, like, make everything egalitarian and treat people who will quickly stab you in the back, like, as your equal is, like, it's a toxic. It's like we're codependent in this toxic relationship. Like someone is abusing you and you're like, well, I have to give them a microphone to be fair. No, don't like make dinner for narcissists. I don't mean people who like take a lot of selfies. I mean like malignant, like narcissistic personality disorder, like the evil kind. We've been way too nice to those people. So we do need to run those people out, by the way. And that is an initiative that I'll be spearheading, which is not to edit the bylaws, but to completely remove and replace entirely and knock out about 100 memberships at the national level. And I know that's very controversial and but when have I shied away from controversy? Relations need to be voluntary. Agreed. And so many of us have felt like we've been held hostage. Any other really good comments? Oh, some comments about Christianity. Good international relations and neutrality. Just takes one good leader and foreign minister. Yes. All of that. Don't forget Esther. Yep, we could do it all day. My friend. So yeah, that's my big announcement. I have part 2. There's more announcements, but it's getting late and I've got a toddler and some other stuff going on and a website that is getting redone and a little announcement video that'll be forthcoming on Thursday. So same time, same place. Announcement part 2 will be happening on Thursday. But again, feel free to blow up the Mises Caucus Twitter DMs, send us a message, visit the website. We want you to join. If you want to join the party, but you don't know if you're a good fit for the caucus, I encourage you to do that. Let us be your ambassadors to the party. If you are Maha, if you're like, I don't know how into Austrian economics I am well versed in or how much interest I have, but I'm opposed to the COVID stuff and I want to shrink the government, you're in the right place, my friend. We welcome you. We will be discussing a Maha caucus, an official one. People can do what they're going to do, but we want a nice official, something you can really sink your teeth into. We will be discussing that very soon publicly with some other Maha influencers. So that's it for tonight. Enjoy. Let's all be friends, except for the handful of people I booted from the chat. Sorry, you're crazy. And let's advance liberty. See ya.